Does that answer your question? No.
Just more specifically, how it operated within this process.
Globally or globally?
Globally?
Well, globally, yes. I mean, globally, it functions here.
Yeah.
Okay. There is someone in front that says something. So I want to get the truth out of her statement. So how do we get this truth out? First of all, by deepening. This I use a lot the dialectical structure. We deepen, we identify, says Hegel. What does that contain? So I ask her, what is contained in there? You know, what is contained in this? What she's saying. So I ask her, you know, by producing concept, analyze, and then asking question. You find if there are incoherencies. There are some things that don't stick, right? And if some things don't stick, you ask the person. Well, either what is this? So either the person will tell you something that explains the contradiction. You get more information, or you find resistance, and that resistance will tell you other types of information. So it's like, in a way, a detective, no? In fact, just finish that. There's two Norwegians coming. One of them is called Morten, and he has written an interesting text, I think, on my website about, he calls it detective method, yes? So detective, you know, detective, what does he look for? He doesn't know a priori, but have suspicion, but he tries to find the inconsistencies. And where are the inconsistencies? There's truth. Because there's an attempt to hide the truth. Yes? So there's a negative approach. Does that answer your question?
It does, yes.
Any other question, comment? Yes?
Yes, so you're opposing adequation is a kind of truth that you are searching for?
Adequation is a general principle. Yes, that's underlying truth. There has to be two things that fit together.
Do you see that as a fourth kind of truth?
No, that would be a more general state. It's a general statement, but the reason why I don't propose this right away or something is because it's because of Kant. Of Kant's warning about concept. You know, he says never a concept without an intuition. Never intuition without a concept. In other words, it's so abstract, it becomes meaningless. Adequation. Okay, adequation. What do you call there? Adequation. What does that mean? You know, adequation. What and what? You know? Yeah, but adequation is too abstract. So, in a certain way, it's meaningless. It's blind. I think that's what he calls it. It's blind when you have a concept with no intuition, with nothing concrete. So, if you like Thomas, adequation between the thing and the intellect. What's happening? Nothing special. Oh, nothing special. Are you having your own agenda again, George? See, we have found some. George got his own agenda. Okay, yes. But he works for the French police. Don't worry.
No, he's not sure.
What?
Look.
So yeah, but yes, the Nigerian Secret Service has spotted that out there. Right there. Okay, so yeah. So it's concrete. If you say adequation between the thing and the intellect, I understand. It means that what you think has to fit the objective reality. There's something concrete in there. Yeah. But adequation as an abstract concept, it's meaningless. But that's the only. See, when you want to give a meaning to something very, very general, you have to give something very, very abstract. When it becomes very, very meaningless, but at the same time, it's useful. You see, that's why I give at the same time the general concept and 3 different shapes it can have. Did I answer your question or not?
Yes, but
always, I like to do steps. See, first of all, I always do this. You can have another one, but did I answer your question? Yes?
Yes.
But you have another one, is it?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. And you say there are 3 kind of truths where you see the adequation in where you can find it today. Because the subjectivity, the commitment to truth, do you also see there the adequation, the coherence?
Yes.
Yeah?
Well, that's what a bit we have done in the way we use that. questioning, and that's we saw this problem because this statement here is a statement of being respectful. And so, if I hear Cecilia, she's telling you should be respectful, right? But the act, the specific act which provoked that was not respectful. So there's a problem here. Not between universal principles and her, no, between her principles and her act. Which would be different. Sometimes, for example, when I bothered Jeannie and I said, does she accept or do people agree? Then that's something else. I use the incoherency between what Jeannie thinks and common reason. It's not Jeannie with Jeannie. It's Jeannie with common reason. So that's more pragmatic conception of truth. I said, look, maybe you're right, but nobody agrees. So is there a problem? So that's not a semantic equation. One is an equation of Cecilia with Cecilia, subjective. And one is an equation between somebody and the group. That's more pragmatic conception. You see? In other words, if nobody understands you, your speech is totally inefficient. It doesn't work, you know. Or unless it's funny, but in France, if you speak to philosophy professors, you tell them nobody understands you. Oh, that's a proof I'm right, you know, profound, you know, and maybe. But in the pragmatic concept, it doesn't work, you see. And that's why, by the way, in France, it's very shocking when I do this. When I say, okay, nobody agrees with you, therefore there's a problem. So, not at all. And they tell me, who cares about common opinion? What does it mean? I don't care. It's absolutely crazy. And in fact, there's a guy, I did a workshop, this philosophy professor, man, you know, sort of big shot in the milieu. He left after 20 minutes and he wrote an article saying this is inhuman and cruel and humiliating, because I was asking people to qualify what he was saying, and for people it was meaningless. And for people to get to show that for everybody else this was meaningless, I mean, he was really freaked, you know. This is humiliating. No, I said, this is scientific. Do this. A scientist, nobody understands. He has to do something. But for a philosopher, no. He's so profound that nobody understands as a proof. He's profound. You see. So that's what I mean. There are different cultural paradigms that will articulate truth in a way. And I just finish on that. And I use both. I use, say, are you coherent with yourself? Subjective truth. Does that fit with the group? Pragmatic truth. Does logic, does logic fit with what you're saying? I'm using transcendent truth. Yes? Not the other people, not yourself, but logic. I ask somebody, okay, what you try to do, by the way, with her, you were using logical truth. Can you say this and this at the same time? Has nothing to do with the others, has nothing to do with yourself, has to do with something else which transcends. And that's what I call I finish with him then I don't. That's what I call the truth of reason. Did I answer your question? Or still not?
Mostly. Because I was doubting what if subjective truth also was about an equation. But you just said, are you coherent with yourself?
Yes.
It could be subjective truth.
If you tell me, for example, 2 plus 2 equals 5, I'm going to ask you, how much is 4 plus 4? And if you tell me 2 plus 2 equals 5, which is, you're right, no problem. But tell me 4 plus 4 equals 8, I'll say, wait a minute, how does that work? But if you tell me 2 plus 2 equals 5 and then 4 plus 4 equals 10, I say, okay, makes sense.
Okay. Yeah.
You see it?
Yeah.
But first, I don't refuse your initial proposal. I'm just going to see if you're coherent with it, and that's I call that subjective truth. And that's by the Socratic principle. I go inside a given speech and I see if it sticks, but I don't qualify the presuppositions.
But then coherency is actually a kind of logic, and then truth is.
The problem with using logic is that, you see, there's the idea that if the postulates are wrong, the conclusions cannot be right. But I don't accept the principle in the way I work. For me, there's no such a thing as what's the premises. Yeah, the premises are wrong. I don't know. See, I don't qualify. I don't judge premises a priori. For me, it's the process, and that's why, in a way, it cannot be called logic. It can be called coherency, but the logic, because logic has that problem. See. Okay? See that problem there? In other words, I will tell you, the conclusions cannot be right if the premises are wrong. But in this process, if the premises are wrong, the conclusion can be right.
Yeah, dialectics.
In dialectics, you will have some luck. All right? Yeah. Plus the other thing, and since you mentioned dialectics, if you take into account contradiction, that's okay. Logic doesn't want contradictions. Dialectics says, yes, you can contradict yourself to the extent that you account for the contradictions. Okay? Okay. Who else wants to raise something, ask a question, or make a comment? Are you okay, or are you finished?
A small question. The logic truth is the French word, the Chapelle. When you talk about this truth with logic, that's what you first called the Roman truth.
Truth of reason. I would call truth of reason, yes.
That is the French style.
In France, that tends to be predominant, yes. It tends to be predominant, but generally speaking, it's very much into the Catholic culture. You have a lot of that. Yeah.
And it is a priori. That are things before the experience.
Yeah, but it's a priori. See, reason, the point is the concept of reason. Now, I don't know if you have a problem with that, but generally reason as defined there exists a priori. Now, of course, if you're in a pragmatic concept, that's a bit meaningless, But in this concept of transcendence, we're with transcendence here. Like in Plato, beauty, good, and truth. Oh yeah, forget it. Exists a priori. If you don't understand it, if you don't know it, it doesn't change anything. It exists a priori.
This a priori, do you decide yourself what exists a priori?
No, see, that's very funny. That's very funny. When somebody tells me this, I know probably he's not French. Because it's like it's coming out from another system. You say, oh, how does that work? For French or Brit, it's so obvious that that's a very strange question. Of course, strange because for you, it's because it's not even a question you ask. It's so evident that truth is a priori. That what kind of question is that? So, but for you, visibly, yes, it is difficult. Yes, truth exists a priori, even if nobody knows it. It's there.
But you said it is also about to construct this French.
No, construction is a pragmatic Anglo-Saxon tradition. Constructivist perspective. Constructivist, pragmatist, same thing. See, construct, pragmatic. You do have to do something. You construct the truth. Yeah. Is it, in other words, do you have to construct the truth, or is it there and you have to just discover it? You see the difference?
Yes.
So like saying, is the meaning there a priori, or do you have to construct it? That's a big difference. You good?
Yeah, only the difference between the constructing truth and the subjective truth.
Subjective is another thing. Neither is, are you at one with yourself? It's like integrity. Are you with yourself?
That's the coherence.
It's coherency of one person, not of one with a group, not of one. Coherency is fine in every case. You have coherency. Yes. Coherency is like an equation. It means the same thing. It doesn't fit together. But what fits with what? For things to fit together, you need two things. You get fitting. It has to fit, but what has to fit? Is it you with yourself? You with some transcendent concept, or you with your doing, your actions? The big debate in Catholic and Protestants about is it only faith or faith with act? Variable?
Not really.
Well, this big debate in Protestant Catholics about is faith self-sufficient, or is it fit, or you need both faith and the act? Yes. In the Catholic tradition, both, but they don't have to be coherent in finally way. In the Protestant tradition, only faith counts because the acts will derive from the faith. Yeah. So that's why you cannot buy something. Yeah?
I can see how coherence and principles of validity have been operating. I'm just wondering about the pragmatic element or the constructivist element. Have we got any constructivist element of truth in the way we're operating at the moment? Or the way we operated this morning?
Well, I gave you one aspect. I use it a lot when I have a group, because constructivist has a lot to do with group definition. And it's again when I say what is to use a group as an echo to what somebody says.
Oh, sorry.
So, for example, with one person, it's more difficult to use a group. Unless I use a group, for example, I would tell the people, what happens when you go in the marketplace and people, how would they? And it's a funny thing because you're introducing someone, the dialogue between yourself and something common reason. So you use it as well.
Yeah, I'm